Within minutes of Trump announcing he had COVID, Twitter was awash with verified leftists, journalists and celebrities gloating and pining for his death. So let me get this straight. The same people who've been browbeating us for the past 6 months about how Trump wasn't taking COVID seriously, that it was grossly offensive to the victims to even suggest that the threat was being exaggerated for political reasons. The same people who sanctimoniously claimed the moral high ground at every turn. Yeah, those people. What was their first reaction to Trump getting COVID? Haha, I hope he dies. What kind of deranged Westboro Baptist church mentality motivates someone to protest outside a hospital against someone who's sick?
We are anti-Trump. We don't care how he's feeling.
Yeah, you really have the moral high ground, don't you? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but feverishly hoping for people to die because you disagree with them politically maybe suggests you don't have the moral high ground. If your response to someone contracting a potentially deadly virus is to encourage mass harassment by doxing them, you're probably not a nice person. Just a hunch. Why is it that the same people who relentlessly lecture everyone else about how shutting down society for COVID is crucial if it just saves one life are the first to laugh and celebrate when someone they don't like gets it? Almost like they don't actually give a shit about COVID deaths and just want to politicize the whole thing? Surely not. Newsflash. Trump having COVID does absolutely nothing to disprove the economy-wrecking, poverty-causing, excess death-generating impact lockdown has had. Potentially millions of future fatalities from untreated serious illnesses, cancers, TB infections, because people were either afraid to go to hospital or had their treatments cancelled. A global economic collapse causing crippling extreme poverty and hunger, leading to untold deaths worldwide. You're all bitching about face masks, while top experts are warning about lockdowns causing more excess deaths than anything Corona could ever achieve. Oh yeah, and if your talking points directly mirror communist Chinese state media propaganda, maybe you're not the goodies.
Hands. Are we the baddies?
Michael Moore and a plethora of other leftists reacted to Trump getting COVID by claiming he'd faked the entire thing. So the same people who've asserted for 6 months that anyone who spins conspiracy theories about coronavirus is a deranged lunatic, the same people who've called for conspiracy theorists to be publicly shamed and arrested for putting the population's health at risk, the same people who've called for the cancellation and social media censorship of anyone who questions the official narrative on COVID, what was their first reaction to Trump getting COVID? It's a conspiracy. He staged it for political purposes. Bravo, guys. Props for consistency. It's okay when we do it.
The lying continues. The claim Trump has only mild symptoms. So why hasn't he sent out a single tweet? Trump tweeted at me yesterday, hours before he tweeted he had COVID. Something has to be very, very wrong for there to be no tweets for 15 hours. A record.
He gave a public address, tweeted the video, then walked out into a helicopter for everyone to see. What are you talking about, you utter clown?
Trump and Republicans held a maskless, crowded super spreader event at the White House in order to jam through a Supreme Court justice who may strike down the Affordable Care Act in the middle of a pandemic.
You're right. This is terrible. Almost as terrible as encouraging tens of thousands of people to gather in close proximity for protests in major cities in the middle of a pandemic. Who would do that? It's okay when we do it. Almost as bad as encouraging people in major cities to attend Chinese Lunar New Year celebrations right as a virus that originated in China was infecting the world. Who would do that?
We do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are.
It's okay when we do it. The media is also exhibiting this weird fetish for Trump to be more ill than he really is.
The difference between Trump's complexion between Tuesday and Saturday is jarring.
Hey Siri, what's makeup? They're also exploiting it to propagandize for masks.
The president has been leading the charge, mocking people who wear masks. Is that not the consequence of the president's rhetoric against wearing masks?
Despite the fact that some of the people infected at the super spreader event were wearing masks, nothing like COVID has exposed how Americans are so horrendously misinformed by the hysterical media. A survey found that the average American thought 9% of the population had died from coronavirus. That's over 30 million people. 220 times higher than the actual figure. COVID-19 is as much a neurotic moral panic as it is an actual pandemic. But unfortunately for sufferers of Trump derangement syndrome, the president has an outstanding chance of making a full recovery. Despite being male, 74 years old and overweight, Trump's statistical chance of surviving COVID is over 96%. Data also shows that world leaders who contract COVID actually see a rise in their approval ratings. That happened for both Jair Bolsonaro and Boris Johnson. In some cases, corona can also turn your skin black. So checkmate, Democrats. They thought Trump catching corona would cost him the election. In reality, it's just served to provide another insight into the sick, depraved callousness of leftists. Vile celebrations of people they don't like catching a potentially deadly virus may translate well for dopamine and retweets, but probably not for swaying undecided voters in Middle America. In a weird way, Trump being infected with COVID may turn out to be the best October surprise the president could have ever hoped for.
It's absolutely crucial for you to help me fight the war on free speech by supporting me via Subscribe Star, link in description, and also signing up for my free newsletter at summit.news/newsletter.